On the last episode of Alpha, the Antonio story, Antonio tries to wrap his head around the idea that Brenda died from a drug overdose. Further complicating the situation, he gets back to the boss's place and runs smack dab into an argument between Peaches and the boss. He goes into his bedroom to contemplate his options and gets interrupted by Peaches. She has a proposition and a confession. Peaches asks Antonio to leave the boss to start an operation with her. And if he's not convinced that it's a good idea, she lets him know that the boss actually orchestrated Brenda's murder. And now, Chapter 11, Playing the Role. Narrated by Shandora Warren. Music by Epidemic Sound. Peaches and I sort of just fell into a relationship. She knew somebody who let her sublease a little apartment from them. Basically, the apartment was in their name, but they let us stay there and pay the bills. We were two 16-year-old kids living in an apartment together, but it didn't feel strange. It was small, only one bedroom, but it was cool. Actually, it was more than cool. Peaches was amazing. Admittedly, I didn't have a lot to compare it to. I had slept with some girls, of course, but I hadn't had any real relationships. Peaches was the first. Considering the life that we lived, she was the best example that I could have had at the time. Peaches was such an oxymoronic figure. She really was the best of two contrasting things. She was an orphan. She knew the streets and the drug game like the back of her hand. But on the other side, she really wanted to live a very traditional life. Peaches was an amazing homemaker. She cooked, cleaned, and made sure that I was taken care of. In return, she wanted me to be the man. She loved watching me wash the car or fix things. Peaches had all the connections, but once she introduced me, she'd step back and let me deal with the guys. I guess she was the latter because of the first. Being an orphan gave her a strong desire for the intact family unit that she never experienced. And because I had stepped away from the secure life with my mother, I saw that appeal as well, for a while. Peaches was a woman of her word. She set everything up just like she said she would. And also, like she said, she made me look good. Peaches had a gentle persuasion. She'd say, "I bet you'd look good in this." And I'd always look good in it. She'd buy clothes for me, and they were always the exact right fit. But more than that, I looked good with her. We looked good together. Man, Peaches was so fine. That's the point when I started calling her Peaches. Her name was Kim, but I'd always tell her that her butt sat up like two big peaches. She laughed like it was the funniest thing ever. She started calling me Bear. Peaches said I was big and rough like a grizzly bear, but soft and sweet like a teddy bear. Our nicknames were initially just a thing between us. Peaches could have been a boss, but she was happy to step back and let me do that. I saw the way other guys looked at her, but she wasn't checking for any of them. It's crazy how I felt so lucky to have her in the beginning. So what happened? Life. I ain't gonna lie. It was me. Well, I can't really say that. We were young, and some of the appeal went away when things became clearer to me. Let me explain. Me and Peaches got thrown together out of mutual necessity. We both needed to get away from the boss, and we both had something to offer to the other. Peaches had connections, and I had protection. She built me up, and I absolutely grew to love her. However, the foundation was not solid. It was a lust and fascination for me. It was a need to be protected for her. Fast forward a few years in, and we were vastly different people. We were probably 20. By that point, I was exactly who Peaches said I would be. I was a boss. I was the head of the operation, and Peaches was a bit of an accessory. She was there, she still helped me out. But when it came down to it, Peaches wanted to be a housewife. She wanted to go to the movies and eat Sunday dinners. At 20 years old, that wasn't appealing to me. So I started stepping out. Peaches turned a blind eye. But when it came down to it, I'm pretty sure she knew. I mean, it was obvious. I was always in and out. At some points, I was more out than in. Peaches took it, and she always acted like it was a normal part of our lifestyle. I began to perceive it as a weakness, like she was somebody that I could run all over, and I did, I ran all over her. I mean, I wasn't hitting her like the boss was, but I came and went as I pleased. I reflected back to my mother's situation a lot during that time. She could have remained in a comfortable situation with my father, but after uncovering his affair, she kicked him out. Her respect outweighed that comfort. Those thoughts chipped away at some of the respect that I had for Peaches. I wasn't seeing the big picture back then. I was still looking at our situation like a mutual arrangement. I kept thinking, if she puts me out, I got enough money to start on my own now. I didn't realize that Peaches really wanted a life with me. She was setting up roles for us. But she didn't put me out. The inevitable did happen, however. At 21, I caught my first drug charge. I pulled a little over a year and came home to Peaches. She held everything down while I was gone. When I came home, she handed everything right back over to me. There wasn't one thing for me to complain about. The money was good, our place was in order, and it seemed that Peaches had been faithful to me. I was only home for a few months before I caught my second charge. That time, they gave me 2 years. Thinking about it after the fact, that second jail stint changed a lot. I was almost 23 when I went in. By that point, I had been dealing with Peaches since I was 16. That's 7 years. I was stepping out and doing my thing while I was on the outside, and I tried to keep that going when I went in. I loved Peaches, and I felt like I was going to default to her when I came home. Honestly, I had other women coming to see me while I was in jail. I had a whole system going. Peaches was number one. She was always my Saturday visit. I'd tell her that we had visitation restrictions if I wanted another woman to come that Sunday. It was a system that worked out well. I didn't want to be with any of those women. It was just something to do, something to pass the time. I came home at 25. Once again, Peaches was waiting. The business was intact. Our place was in order, and it seemed that Peaches was faithful to me. But something was different that time. Peaches had started dabbling in drugs. It was 1993, and cocaine had made its way to the scene. I mean, it was everywhere, but I was a bit biased. None of it was common knowledge, but I had the inside scoop. My father was involved with drugs, and it had likely contributed to the accident that killed him. Brenda had died from an overdose, and while that was intentionally set forth at the boss's request, that didn't negate the fact that I was aware of the dangers that drugs presented. I saw it every day. I was a drug dealer. But at the same time, I had to extend some grace to Peaches and also make an exception for her. She didn't hide what she was doing for me. Not only did she not hide it, but she made it obvious that nothing would go lacking as a result. The money looked better than ever, and Peaches had a plan to make more. A lucrative plan. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow Shenny Tells a Story on Facebook and Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to purchase books by Shandora Warren, they're all available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and some in hardback formats. Please like and follow this podcast and share it with your friends, family, and frenemies, because all relationships matter, even the toxic ones. Thank you so much for helping me to create the world that I want to see. This is my 10th book. Oh yeah, you're welcome.